Gente, nós estamos aqui com Veronique Drouhin, que é enóloga da Maison J.
So now the next wine will come from Chablis to the Côte d'Or, and this is one of the famous village of what we call the Côte des Blancs, Meursault, next to Puligny-Montrachet and Chassagne-Montrachet. Meursault is always a village, it's a very classic Chardonnay, and it's always the wine that gives you a lot of ample volume, beautiful lengths, very elegant wines. And again in 2011, I would say a very easy vintage for the Chardonnay, a very good one too. After, we will go to the next level. We were on the village. This Puligny-Montrachet, Les Folatières. So we are close, the next village to Meursault. And we are in the Premier Cru level. Les Folatières is a climat, so it's the name of a specific vineyard called Les Folatières. And the fruit comes only from this little area. It's a lovely Premier Cru. It's close to the Grand Cru called Le Montrachet, overlooking the village of Puligny. A very consistent and maybe to me one of the nicest elegant Chardonnay. Really, Puligny produces, I think, the most beautiful elegant Chardonnay. Not as wide as Meursault, but beautiful length. A delicious wine. Again, Chassagne is also a wine it's always a lovely wine, very easy to make because it's always good. So Chardonnay, but never bad surprise with Le Morgeau. Then we move on to the reds, and we will start with Côte de Beaune Village. Côte de Beaune Village is, alors, it's an interesting wine. It's a wine made not from a specific, just one little plot of vineyard. Côte de Beaune Village is a blend of different fruits coming from the Côte de Beaune. So we have Beaune all the way to Centenay, that's the Côte de Beaune. So from separate vineyards, we may take fruits and blend them together, and that produces a Côte de Beaune Village. It's always a wine on the fruity side that I think has a very good value for the quality, very typical of Pinot Noir. It's never a big wine, but delicious, and especially delicious to enjoy young. After Côte de Beaune Village, we will do Beaune Grève. So we're still on the Beaune, but now this is a Premier Cru. Beaune Les Grèves is a climat, again, like Les Folatières or Morgeau. It's the opposite of Les Clos des Mouches. It's not too far from Le Beaune Clos des Mouches, very famous for Drouhin, and that's also a vineyard from the estate. And Les Grèves comes from gravel. Gravel means the stone. It's a fairly stony site, and that translates into the wine that are always quite well structured. So from Côte de Beaune, something very soft. We come to Côte, to Beaune Premier Cru, Les Grèves, a little more structure. A wine that will also age very well. Then we move on to the Côte de Nuit with Gevrey-Chambertin. Obviously a very famous name, needs no explanation. It's a village of the Côte de Nuit, and that is also, again, a blend of specific vineyard that we chose to vinify and blend together. So it's a delicious wine. Of course, Gevrey has this ability to age, although personally, I love our Gevrey within the first 3 or 4 years because it's ripe fruit, good density, nice length. I think it will gain maybe something. The aromas will change, but I love it on the young fruity side. Another village very close to Gevrey-Chambertin is Chambol-Musigny.
This is the one I love most.
This is the one I love too. I think for Drouhin, maybe Chambol is our favorite village because it's the one that expressed at the most elegant example of the Pinot Noir. From Chambol, you will never get something very big. You will always something very delicate, very elegant. So we really adore this village. And this one will be 2010, which is a very, very lovely year. I think 2010 will age for a long time. It's a great vintage. The only thing with this vintage was very small. So it was very little wine made in 2010, but it's delicious. So we'll see. But the texture of the Chambol is usually lovely. And then we will finish with a famous wine, the Clos de Vougeot, which is of course a Grand Cru, and that also is from the estate. And Clos Vougeot is not easy to describe because Clos Vougeot is 50 hectares and 70 people own Clos Vougeot. So you don't have one style of Clos Vougeot. Everyone has its own personality and way of expressing the way they feel, the grapes, the messages coming from the grapes. So I think it's important that we respect the terroir, but we also respect the philosophy of the family, which for us is really to produce very elegant wine. So I'm very pleased with this cuvée. So that's
So you're the guardian of the style.
Yes, it's important because my grandfather really set the style that we have this incredible region. Not the easiest to understand with all these names, all these different vineyards, but that's what is unique in Burgundy. And so we have to make sure we pass on to the next generation in the best possible shape all this little terroir, but they do give us different wines. They're all Pinot Noir, all Chardonnay, and yet they will all taste different because the soil, because the nature of the soil, what the messages are given to the grapes that we will just reveal. So my father says, yes, you're the guardian of the soil, but I need to make sure when we bottle Chambol, it's respectful of what Chambol should taste like. Same with Gevrey or Beaune or Meursault, Puligny. And in that sense, of course, I work with a team, so it's not just me. But we try to be, of course, consistent, and most of the work is done in the vineyards, which is my brother's field, and all the estate wines are under, organic viticulture. And I feel with this practice of doing organic and biodynamic, which is really not using any chemicals, pesticides, fertilizer, herbicides. This is not used at all in our vineyards.
All biodynamic or?
All the estate wines. So all this one, biodynamic, this one. Not these because these would be blends of sometimes estates. But Philippe, my brother, who has gone to these practices, you see it says propriété de la famille Drouhin. That means it's from the estate.
Oui.
I find that by using the biodynamic, I get the question, do you think the wines are better? I don't know if the wines are better. I think they are really at least as good as people who still use this conventional viticulture. But what I'm convinced is that it's so good for the soil, it's good for the plants, it's good for the water, because so much pollution is coming from these chemicals being used. I'm not saying that we have no disease to fight, but there's other ways than using these chemicals, like you use herb plants. It's very efficient. You need to know them, and that's what my brother is really good at. So I think we have kind of awakened the terroir, all these little climat that we are that are so precious. Maybe Burgundy, hopefully someday, will be classified as World Heritage for the UNESCO because of its climat. It's unique in the world. It needs to be universal, something universal and unique. And those are, and so hopefully it will be recognized. So I think it's very important.
Very good.
And next to Puligny-Montrachet, if we keep going south, we would come to Chassagne-Montrachet. And this one is a premier cru called Morgeau. And so we are at the same, I would say, level of quality on the premier cru. Now this one is unique in the sense that it's owned by a family. The vineyard is owned by the Famille de la Guiche. And that's a nice story between the family de la Guiche and the Drouhin family, because since 1947, we have the exclusivity of the fruit from the family for both the Morgeau and Le Montrachet. It means that we've been making the wine, aging the wine, bottling the wine, and marketing the wine, selling the wine, since 1947, where the Marquis and my grandfather became very good friends. They both passed away, but then next generation started to work together. So it's a very lovely relationship based on mutual confidence. So it's a partnership we really appreciate very much.